Hey, Nashville, we need to talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and it's judicial elections. Yes, it is that time, guys. So right now we actually have multiple judicial races happening at the same time, and they are all special elections. Most people don't even realize that, or how these judges ended up on the bench in the first place. And we know special elections usually have low turnout, right? But we can't afford that in this election. It's too much on the line when we have people who get to decide people's fate, right? That is the job of judges. And so we need for you to be locked in. So let me break down the elections that involve the criminal justice system. Let's talk about what is a special judicial election. When a judge leaves the bench before their 8-year term ends in Tennessee, judges have 8-year terms. Yes, very long. So when a judge leaves the bench before their 8-year term ends, whether they retire, resign, or take another position, someone has to temporarily fill that seat. But how that seat gets filled depends on what type of court it is. So if the vacancy is in state court, like criminal court or circuit court, the governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, appoints someone to temporarily fill that seat. But if the vacancy is in a general sessions court, the Metro Nashville Council appoints the replacement. Now, here's the key part. Those appointments are temporary, okay? Because we, the people, get to vote for our judges here. And so at the next election cycle, voters get to decide who will actually hold that seat for the remainder of the 8-year term. That's why we're seeing multiple special elections happening right now. The last judicial election was in 2022. So we are currently in year 4 of their 8-year term. So these judges that get elected in this season, and the election is in May, these judges will get to serve for another 4 years before needing to run for office again. So this is very, very important for you all to tune into. And look, I need to break down for y'all how the courts work here in Tennessee, because a lot of people don't realize that there are different levels of courts handling different types of cases, okay? So first, we have General Sessions Court. Now, this is considered a lower court, right? General Sessions judges can hear both civil and criminal matters, but their power is limited, okay? The technical term for that power is jurisdiction, which just means the power or authority of a court to hear a case, right? But on the criminal side, General Sessions Court can handle things like misdemeanor and preliminary hearings for felony cases. If someone is charged with a felony, their case will usually start in General Sessions Court, but it usually doesn't stay there, right? Because the only thing that court can do is have a preliminary hearing on it, unless, right, there are some situations where a case can still be resolved in General Sessions. For example, if the state and the defense agree to reduce the charge from a felony down to a misdemeanor, then the case can be handled and resolved right there in General Sessions Court. Remember, the power authority of a court to hear a case, the General Sessions judge can't make decisions on felonies. They can only have preliminary hearings on them and determine if there has been enough probable cause shown that, one, first, been a crime committed, and two, the person accused is the one who committed it, right? And if they determine it's enough probable cause, they send it over to the grand jury. The grand jury will then determine whether or not it goes to criminal court, right? Whether there's enough probable cause. Now, if they don't determine it's enough probable cause, that General Sessions judge can actually dismiss it at that level. And it's really important because you can save people a lot of time and money, and you can show the weaknesses in the case, right? So now on the civil side, General Sessions Court can handle smaller civil disputes like certain lawsuits for money or property. Now in Tennessee, the amount in controversy has to be $25,000 or less for General Sessions to hear the case. Now, if a case is appealed from General Sessions Court, where it goes next depends on the type of the case. So if it's a civil case, the appeal will go to circuit court, right? And here in Nashville, we know that's across the street, right? Not the A.A. Birch building, the historic courthouse. Those courts handle larger civil cases and also hear appeals from General Sessions civil decisions. And yes, there is currently a special election happening right now in that circuit court race, Division 3. And it has 3 people running, including one person who was appointed by the governor, just like in the criminal courts. But I'm not breaking that down in this video because today we're going to focus only on the criminal side of the system. Now, if it's a criminal case, the appeal goes to criminal court. Here in Davidson County, we have 6 divisions of criminal court, and those courts handle serious criminal matters, including felony trials. But their jurisdiction is just much broader, right? Meaning they can handle any criminal case. So even if a misdemeanor from General Sessions is appealed, criminal court has the power and authority to hear it and handle it. So I want you to think of it like this. General sessions is where many cases start, but if the case becomes more serious or if someone appeals a decision, it moves up to a higher court with broader authority. Okay, so there's a special election going on right now for general sessions, which is the lower court, and criminal court, which is the higher court. And then you also heard me talk about the circuit court, which is the higher court in civil cases, right? That also has a special election that I'm not going to cover in this video. All right, back to what we were talking about. Let's start with General Sessions Court. That means vacancies are filled by Metro Council, not the governor. General Sessions Court is one of the busiest courts in the city, and it handles a wide range of cases, including misdemeanor criminal charges, bond hearings, preliminary hearings and felony cases, eviction cases, small claims lawsuits, orders of protection, landlord-tenant disputes. Yes, so this court is touching a lot of everyday issues for Nashville residents. I always tell people that when we look at the statistic of 97% of people taking pleas, right, in the criminal justice system, a lot of these pleas are taking place right here in the General Sessions Court. Jim Todd was the judge who won that seat back in 2022, right? So he previously held this general session seat. And so when the judge that we're going to be talking about in criminal court retired, the governor appointed Judge Jim Todd to that criminal court seat. And so that left a vacancy in his seat. And Metro Council had to fill that vacancy. And the Metro Council appointed Jody Bell, who is a former public defender and federal court appointed lawyer, to fill that vacancy. And so now voters get to decide who should serve in that role moving forward. So the candidates for General Sessions Court are Jody Bell and Michael Robinson, who is challenging Judge Jody Bell for that seat as well. Next is criminal court. So criminal court judges handle all criminal cases, including felony cases, which are the most serious criminal charges in the system. These judges make decisions about whether cases go to trial, what evidence juries are allowed to hear, sentencing decisions, and in some cases, they can send someone to prison for decades or even life. When the previous criminal court Division III judge retired, Judge Cheryl Blackburn, that is when the governor appointed Judge Jim Todd to temporarily fill that seat. Now, voters get to decide who should serve in that role. And the candidates that are running for criminal court Division III are, we have Jim Todd, who was the former General Sessions judge appointed by Governor Bill Lee. We have Ronald Dowdy, who first challenged Jim Todd for the seat, and he is a former prosecutor for the Davidson County District Attorney's Office. And then we have Dawn Diener, who joined the race against both of them. She is the former head public defender for the Metro Nashville Public Defender's Office and also known for her work with Choosing Justice Initiative and the Community Bail Fund here in Nashville, Tennessee. So, judicial elections often fly under the radar, but these judges make decisions that impact people's freedom, finances, families, and futures every single day. So if you're voting this cycle, take the time to learn about the candidates and understand the courts they're running to serve in, because these seats aren't just titles. They carry real power in our communities. Early voting starts April 15th and ends April 30th, 2026. Election day is Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Make it your duty to come out and really listen to these judges at any judicial forums that are coming up. Ask your questions and make sure you stay informed about who they are, what you truly care about.